Hello, Internet. I'm Matt.
And I'm Monster Punter.
And this is the Parallax Scrolling Podcast, where we give you our perspective on video games and the news that affects them. How are you?
I'm alive.
Okay. Hopefully better than that. I mean,
I'm living through busy season right now. So
Right.
You know, as soon as that's done, I'll be doing a lot better.
I was going to say you're near the end of it, right?
I got about 3 or 4 more weeks.
Okay. Well, I'm doing all right-ish. Today was as of today's recording, it was a very rainy day today. And my job has had me in and out in the rain so many times today.
Delightful.
No, not really. Not at all. Especially because we still have the air conditioner going. So, like, I go out, I get wet, I come in, I get cold. That's the makings for illnesses. So, hopefully I don't catch anything. I'll be like upping my vitamin C intake tonight.
You'll be fine, I'm sure.
Yeah, but my immune system's always been wonky, so we'll see. But other than that, how's your video game playing been going? I know you said you're in busy season. Have you had time to do anything?
I've been able to play some. I've been playing Astrobot.
Ooh.
And I don't normally do 3D platformers, but this one is very good. And
cool.
I totally recommend it to anybody who especially likes 3D platformers.
Yeah. I still want to get it. I want to... We talked about this personally, but I want to get a bundle so that I have the controller that we talked about last time with the game. Mainly because my controller is starting to develop stick drift.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much longer this system is going to last before like the PS6 or whatever they said it comes out. So
it's going to probably be 27, 28 till we see a PS6. In fact, I think they've only just now, I heard a rumor that they've only just now started to put stuff on the drawing board for PS6.
Okay. Well, then it gives me some time to enjoy a normal controller before it goes bad too, you know? So not too worried about that.
I certainly hope that Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo in their next video game console designs will use HoloFX joysticks. That would solve stick drift entirely. In fact, if you go back to like PS2, I don't know about PS1. I think PS1 as well, though. And basically, even the Sega Saturn 3D controller that came with Nights into Dreams, all these had HoloFX joysticks, and there's no rubbing in it like a potentiometer has. And since there's no rubbing, it doesn't eventually go bad because, you know, if you have two things rubbing together, eventually it's going to wear away. Then the signal, like electronic signal, kind of starts to degrade, and you get incorrect readings, which is stick drift. And but with the
so, are you saying that grasshoppers get stick drift?
Yes, they do.
Because they rub their legs together. And
yes,
so
they
eventually
do.
That's weird.
Yep.
Nature's weird.
I mean, there's a joke there, but I'm going to pass. Anyway.
Yep. Take the high road. But yeah, I'll if I can find that bundle, I'd like to have that copy for Astrobot.
I don't think that bundle exists, but you're welcome to look.
I'm going to hope and dream, and we'll see what happens from there. But did you play anything else?
No, just been playing Astrobot.
Okay. Well, I have 3 things. First off, I finished Chris Tales.
Oh, really?
Yep. And there are a lot of good things about that game. That game is a very solid 8.5 kind of game out of 10.
Okay.
All right. But I have to talk to you about what is problematic in my opinion.
Okay.
So you get multiple party members. You only have a maximum of people, 3 in the battle party at a time. But then you have other people sitting out.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot swap party members for any reason in battle. And at the same time, there is no XP sharing. So there becomes a massive power creep or power gap between not only the main character who can never leave the party, but some of your other characters who have to step out and then come back. And so you end up playing catch up a lot. And so it forces grinding. So and not in a fun way either.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like, it's just like, I gotta fight these guys again. Because there's one area in the game where these slime creatures show up, and they're all throughout the game, but these particular ones are white, and they transform into the other colored slimes, which are based on elements. These guys will give a battle party, which would normally give you like 450 XP, 1,050 XP. So they're worth grinding on.
Okay.
But they have a rare appearance rate.
Like metal slimes.
Yeah, like metal slimes. But they're really the only way you can grind in the game. Otherwise, you are fighting even longer fights. So I'm annoyed with that. Next thing I'm annoyed with is there's some tropey stuff that happens towards the end of the game. It's kind of like, that's it? Really? That's what's going on? So it's not exciting. There's no like spark of interest in what's going on. Here's the thing I can say without spoiling it, because I do think you should play it. I think our viewers should play it, but I think you should play it too. When you finally get to the point where you're about to enter the final dungeon, there is a guy who is like a roaming merchant. You'll find him, and he'll always show up in dungeons, so you can buy like healing items and stuff if you need them. But he shows up, and he's like, hey, while you're at it, there's this Coliseum you can go fight in. And you can get stuff, which is, cool. You don't get experience, but you do get items.
Okay.
All right. It is a 30-round fight. Like, you go through 30 different fights. There are no checkpoints.
Sounds unreasonable.
Yeah, just wait. So, every 10 levels, you have a special fight that gives you items. Like, rejuvenation potions and healing stuff and things like that. When you beat the level 30 fight, you get the final weapon for the main character. Okay. Which the damage was somewhat noticeable, but not really. But here's where things are problematic. The level 30 fight is the final boss of the game.
Well, that's weird.
Right. So it's the final boss of the game, plus they gave it a couple enemies to fight with you, to fight with it. And that fight was so difficult and so insanely like frustrating. It took me like 6 or 7 tries going through the Coliseum to beat it. Okay. Then I get to the actual final boss. He has no one with him, and I smoke him.
It's kind of weird to do that before.
It was laughable, yeah.
Yeah. That's usually like a challenge dungeon after you beat the game, something like that.
Exactly. Like, I could understand it if they did it like that, but they didn't. And so it's just like, stuff like that is just like, I got questions about why you did things this way. So, and that's why I have to give the game, like, an 8.5 or a B rating as opposed to like an A rating, because that's aggravating.
Yeah.
So, but after I beat Chris Tales, I started up Unicorn Overlord, which you have let me borrow.
Yep.
And I'm having fun. But you didn't tell me something very important.
Do I have to tell you everything?
Yes, especially when it comes to this.
What's that?
There are bridges you can repair in the first area of the game.
Yes.
And as soon as you repair them, they unlock the final battle of the game.
Yeah, I told you that.
No, you didn't.
Yeah,
you may have thought you did, but you didn't.
Yeah, go ahead and fight the final battle.
Yeah, no. So thanks for that. But otherwise, the game is great. I'm enjoying it. The graphics are awesome. The story is actually pretty cool. I like that I can run around the world map as much as I want, and not like move from map to map.
And you can do fast travel with on the map too.
Yeah. Once you start unlocking extra spots, you can start to fast travel. It's really cool. Here's one question I have, and I'm going to need you to actually answer this one, not be vague.
But that we have everybody listening right now.
Well, because I think this helps other people too. All right. So a lot of these fights, especially like the side quest fights, you defeat these people. It's like, hey, go capture this base, and defeat the commander of this current battalion. And so you go and you do it. And then you have an option. You can either execute the person or recruit them.
Yes.
Does that ever matter? Is it like, hey, if I execute this character, or if I recruit this character, it prevents me from getting somebody else later on in the story?
To my knowledge, that's not the case. You can recruit everybody.
Then why is that an option? That's just kind of weird.
Because you do get something if you off somebody. You get something that obviously you cannot get the character anymore, but you do get something.
Right. Is it story related why you would off them?
Well, I mean, if you off the first guy in the game, there is something story related with him later on, but I believe you get divine shards, and you get like 15, and you need 20 of those to get a certain character in the game. So getting 15 of those right away is
actually you need 26.
Okay, well,
because I got them.
Okay, but at any rate, you can get a character earlier in the game. Is that worth it? Probably not.
Okay. Yeah, no, because I was just thinking that. I'm like, why is this like? I'm building an army. I want to get as many people on my side as possible.
You eventually have too many people. Just know that.
Nah. Because then when you have enough people, you start to do fun stuff. Like, I'm going to make an all magic caster unit and just see what with all the different magic casting classes, and just see what kind of nonsense I can get up to.
All 2 of them? Okay.
No, there's 3. There's at least 3. No, 4. I take that back. There's 4. There's the sorcerer, the witch, the shaman, and the cleric.
Well, I was thinking magic attack characters.
Oh, no. I meant like all magical, like put in all 4 magical characters in a party and see what happens. And maybe put them with that guy who's got the hammer. Just for extra little flavor.
There's more than one person with a hammer too.
I know, but the first one you can get.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put him in that group and just be like, yeah, nonsense. But yeah, I'm enjoying that game, and I'm gonna have some. Hopefully, I get to play that later and have some more fun.
It's a good game. Anybody who likes Ogre Battle will like that game.
Oh, absolutely.
And Vanillaware's art is always good.
Yes, it is. So then the other game, I started playing. I played this over the weekend, the one version. I've actually today upgraded to the full version of a game called TCG Shop Simulator.
Oh dear Lord!
And there's nothing wrong with it. It is, you run a trading card game shop, and you have to buy supplies. You sell them to the customers, but you also buy like gaming tables and run events for the game, the card game that you're selling. Eventually, the developers are going to make it so that you can play the game yourself. So that's kind of a cool thing. But it's fun. It's relaxing. It's simple. And I'm enjoying myself. And if you're not sure if it's a game you would like, they have a version called the TCG Shop Simulator Prologue. And it's like the very early beginning of the game. And it's free. So you don't have to give them any money. You could just try out the prologue, see if it's for you. And then if you like it, you give them $13.
Okay.
So, yeah, but I'm having fun with it. And plus you get to open up the card packs yourself, and you can find shiny cards and sell them separate, like a normal card shop.
Okay.
I actually opened one today. I got a pack of
cards.
I got a pack of cards, but one of them was almost $500, which was huge for me because that's the most expensive one I've ever pulled. I've actually seen YouTubers who've played the game, and one of them got a almost $15,000 card.
Oh.
And I'm like, that's nuts.
In the game, if that's a lot of money, then cool.
For one single card, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, in real life, if one single game card is $15,000, that's a lot of money, man.
I think there are a couple that get up that high.
There probably
maybe even
are.
more.
I
Black
know
Lotus
that
comes to mind from the 90s. That was when that was worth a lot of money, even back then.
Oh, from Magic, the
Yeah.
Black Lotus. That one, I think, got up to like $800 at most. I know, like, in the current Pokemon trading card game, if you get, like, some of the special Charizard cards, they're like $400, $500. So, it's possible.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's just fun. It's fun to, And the best part, here's the best part. I didn't get to talk about this yet. Just like a real trading card game shop, every once in a while, somebody comes in who has not taken good care of themselves. And it is evident by the massive green stink cloud they're emanating. You can buy spray and just hose them down. And it's so much fun. At one point, I was able, because you have like you have the area of the shop, but then you also have like the road in front of the store. When I was playing the prologue, I would grab a can on like my slow work days, and I would sit out in the street, and as soon as I saw them coming, I would charge at them and spray them before they even got to my store. They could have just been walking by my store, and they would have gotten doused. So it's fun.
Okay then.
So yeah, I think you would have fun with it too.
Well, maybe eventually. We'll see what happens.
It again, I think it's like a wind down type of game, not like a die hard, try hard kind of game. It's just something to I'll just chill with this.
But I always have to question, Power Wash Simulator. I'm surprised you haven't tried Lawn Mowing Simulator.
I have. I love Power Wash Simulator. I love Power Wash Simulator. I rage quit Lawn Simulator. No, because I couldn't get the mower to work properly on the Xbox, so I immediately, within 10 minutes of playing the game, I just deleted it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you would like Farming Simulator.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Anyhow, we're already well into our episode, and we still have stuff to talk about. So this is gonna be a long one, folks. Buckle in. First thing we're gonna talk about though is your comments, and the first one, I want to specifically save this one for the second question, but I already gave Monster the comment. I'm going to show you the second one now. I'm going to read it, and then I'm going to answer before you can. Okay?
Okay.
For reasons. All right, here we go. Boop. There we go. Alrighty. That one dude started with, about a week ago, and this is now 2 weeks ago. So about 2 weeks ago, it was the 25th anniversary of the Sega Dreamcast. What were some of your favorite games to come out on the console? I never played on an actual Dreamcast, but my favorite ports of Dreamcast games are Sonic Adventure 1 and Jet Set Radio. And I want to say, before we answer this question, do you want to make an episode out of this?
We can make an episode out of it, but
we did top 10 SNES, we did top 10 RPGs, we did top 10 unexpected PS2 games. We didn't talk about the Dreamcast.
The Dreamcast is an amazing console, so I'll say this much. That one dude, thank you very much for the comment. It's always appreciated.
Absolutely.
We have not been able to record as often as we would like right now, especially with my work situation.
And mine.
So I'm happy to get to it now. I think the games that you've listed there are definitely top tier games for the Sega Dreamcast. The good news is that there are
way more.
Yeah. There are many games to choose from.
And I honestly think it's an episode in itself from us, because we can go off.
It is. I mean, just to name a few games that are legendary on the system: Skies of Arcadia, Soul Calibur, Power Stone. Power Stone's great. I loved that.
Yeah, we have talked about Power Stone before. But let's not talk about it anymore. Let's save that for another episode, because I really think that's going to be one people are going to want to listen to.
Okay.
Okay.
But before we go, I mean, that one dude, you need to play. You really need to play Typing of the Dead.
Agreed. But the best part is that's not on just Dreamcast anymore. That's actually
that isn't.
That's on Steam.
I know it is, but it's not the same game. But
no, I thought they did. I thought they had that, but they also had
a new.
Well, no, because they also had it off of Overkill. So there's Typing of the Dead and there's Typing of the Dead Overkill.
Well, at any rate, Typing of the Dead is, man, that is an experience. Anyway.
Yep. Anyhow.
Unlike any other.
Yes. But yes, thank you for that comment. And thank you for this next comment, too. This one, I'm going to read it. This is directed strictly at Monster. So, and it's going to lead into like our first news story, really.
Why don't you just go with the news story first?
Well, I think they tie together. I really do.
Yeah, but okay.
Okay. He says, I have a question for Monster, since he seems to be quite knowledgeable when it comes to tech. Sony recently revealed the PS5 Pro, so I have to, and be honest, I don't really understand the differences they were talking about. Is it really worth the price they are asking for or not?
All right, so the whole thing behind this is everybody who follows video games is well aware by now. I mean, we're recording this well after the the announcement of the PS5 Pro.
Right.
The PS5 Pro is going to be $700 without a disc drive, without a stand, if you want to make it vertical, that is. Do I think it's worth the price? I can't answer that definitively right now. I will be able to get back to you on that, though, because, as part of, somebody who talks about these things and just in general, I kind of want to have an upgrade, especially for Monster Hunter coming down the line.
Right.
I will be getting a PS5 Pro, but I can talk to the technology. I can talk to the reasons for the price. I can't justify the price entirely.
Right.
I mean, I think it's still overpriced for what you're getting. I can understand why Sony is selling it for the price it is to a certain degree. I would think $600 or $600, even without a hard drive, or not hard drive, but a disk drive, I can maybe understand. There is a little bit that we claw back on the hard drive. I mean, you get a 2 terabyte hard drive instead of a 1 terabyte hard drive, so it's a little bit easier to swallow because of that. But yeah, I think it's not entirely worth the asking price just on a hardware front, but we'll see after I get it.
So I actually have a question regarding that, because we're talking about the PS5 Pro not having a disk drive initially, and you can buy one and it's separate. How good is the quality of reading going to be on the disc game on the PS5 Pro if you have to have it attached by a cable?
No, it plugs into the side. Plugs in.
Like the whole unit actually plugs into the...
Yeah, you take the housing off of the PS5 for the
Okay.
And then you plug it in, and then it has a shell that you put over. It's fine.
Okay. Oh no, because there have been video game systems in the past that have tried to do something like that, and the cabled in disk drive didn't work. Like, you had massive latency, and I guess that'd be my concern.
All right, so as part of the explanation on the... Well, okay, so the PS5 is basically targeting 3 major upgrades. They're saying that you're giving you up to 45% more performance. That's your traditional rasterized graphics performance. That is your typical 3D graphics. They're saying that the PS5 Pro has 45% more grunt in that area. And it could be more, depending, I think. So that's the first one. The second one that they talked about was ray traced graphics. In the PS5, it is regular PS5. It is capable of ray traced graphics, but the technology they're using in the PS5 is RDNA 2, which is AMD's second iteration of that line of technology, like the design of the graphics cards. The one before they moved off of with RDNA in 2019, and in 2020 they brought out RDNA 2. It came out with the PS5. It's also in the Xbox, but it was AMD's first real shot at doing hardware-based ray tracing. And so it's capable of it, but as a first line of graphics cards that have it, it's there, but it's not really functional. It really harkens back to the PS3 360 era, where tessellation started to come into play. A lot of new techniques like normal mapping started to come into play. Other things like that. It's like, yeah, your 360 and your PS3 can do it, but if we enable that, then you're playing at 20 FPS, or you have 20 FPS dips quite often.
Which is funny, because like I still think about that too. That I can play a game at 60 FPS, and then I can play a game at 30 FPS, and me personally, I can't notice it right away. But if I dip from 30 to 20, I immediately notice the difference.
Well, it's a how do I put it? It's always diminishing returns, right?
Right.
So you can tell the difference between 5 FPS and 10 FPS because it's literally doubled. But as you continue to add more things, that percentage difference shrinks, and so it becomes less perceivable. You can see 30 FPS choppy, as he said it in the video. If you're playing at 30 FPS or 60 FPS in a game, and then you enable 30 FPS, it looks choppy because you just came from 60 FPS and you jumped down to 30 FPS.
Right.
Digital Foundry has said this before, though, but if you just start playing a game at 30 FPS and you just keep playing it,
you never
unless
notice.
You're really sensitive to this, you're not really going to notice right away. So... I mean, and at the end of the day, some of the best games that have been made in the past 5-7 years, at least critically acclaimed, have been 30 FPS. I keep pointing to Zelda and the fact that it wins Game of the Year and runs at 30 FPS. So, I mean, you can have great game experiences at 30 FPS still.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it's still all personal preference.
Yeah.
At any rate, getting off on a tangent here a bit, but that's the same thing that's happening with ray tracing on PS5 and Xbox Series X. If you want to use ray tracing, you incur a huge penalty to do so. And some people aren't willing to do it. That's why if you look at your performance modes, the ones that run at 60 FPS on PS5 and Series X, there usually no ray tracing at all in those. So if you want all the nice new graphics effects, you typically have to go to 30 FPS. The only game I can think of that doesn't sacrifice a ton to get to 60 FPS lately is Spider-Man 2. They did have a ray traced performance mode, but it went all the way down to like 900p, maybe 1080p to do it. So the performance hit is still really big. So Sony in the PS5 Pro, this is the biggest jump out of all the three things they talked about. They're talking about 2 or 3 times the performance in ray tracing. So the whole idea behind that is that the developers are able to toggle on ray tracing features and not really incur a performance penalty like they once did. So what is ray tracing and why does it matter to graphics? You'll have a lot of people out there that say it doesn't matter. And for them, maybe they're right. I mean, ray tracing is giving you things like more realistic shadows. It gives you more realistic light bouncing and other things like that. Light that bounces off a yellow surface and onto the wall is going to have a yellowish kind of sheen. And you can see that. You can, you do the whole global illumination thing like Metro Exodus does. You have your reflections that are in the puddles and on metal objects and on glass, among other things. You can have your character reflected in the glass or mirror even, that these things you don't normally get in any game. So it does help and does make a difference. It's just not as dramatic as a change from, say, I don't know, PS2 to PS3 or PS3 to PS4 or
right.
Those kind of generational leaps, because we're getting to, like I said earlier, we're getting to diminishing returns where it takes a lot more power to get a marginal increase. So for a lot of people, they don't care about ray tracing. I get it. There are some benefits for the developer to enable ray tracing. They don't have to spend so much time from an artistic standpoint putting lights into a scene to get their light the way they want it just right. They can just enable ray tracing and let the light act naturally, and then they can design their game differently from there. So from what I understand, it does help from a time and standpoint. So maybe in the future when ray tracing is the norm, because eventually we'll be there, maybe games will actually get cheaper in price. The last thing that they talked... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, so for people who aren't really adept at seeing all this stuff or catching it all right away, are you advising people to not get the PS5 Pro based on its price, or what?
I think for the typical person, it's definitely not targeted at them. And I don't think it's worth it for the vast majority of use cases. Unless you want to have the best of the best as far as console gaming is concerned, and you want to have all the prettiness, you don't need it. And and they also marketed the PS5 Pro as basically doubling your performance in quality mode. The quality mode being the typical 30 FPS mode that's supposed to look better. And you're going to be able to do that at 60 FPS instead on the PS5 Pro. That's how they've marketed it. So it's not that the games look better per se, but that higher fidelity, you get more frames. And so that's the biggest thing on how they're marketing it. But the last thing they talked about was AI upscaling. So there's been tons of different scaling in the past that's to try to make an image look better than it does normally, just a raw image. Nintendo 64 actually had a little bit of this, They had an anti-aliasing pass in Nintendo 64, which was really impressive for the time. But if you go back to a console generation like the PlayStation or anything before, there was no anti-aliasing, and so you would get just raw 3D graphics where you could see the stair stepping and everything in the image. And so since they started trying to use anti-aliasing, which kind of makes the edges of objects more closer in color so you can not see the stair stepping as much, even since then, so there's been tons of techniques to make the image better over time. And so now we have AI upscaling. And so what that basically is doing is it's taking a lower resolution image that's easier for your GPU to process, and it's making it more higher fidelity. It's a really bad way of saying it. My English is not good right now, but it's basically taking, a lower input and making an output that is similar to whatever the output resolution is in 4K, 1440p, whatever the case may be. And that's like the newest one. That's the big one. There is a non-AI version of that. You can see that in AMD calls it FSR2. There is a version of a non-AI upscaling available in Unreal Engine 5. I can't remember the name of it right now. Even Intel offers their own AI upscaling in XeSS. And then, of course, the king of the hill currently, as of the time of this recording, is NVIDIA's deep learning super sampling. That's the best of the best right now. Hopefully AMD catches up. Hopefully Intel catches up. And with the PlayStation, it has its own, though. It has PSSR. So Sony has invested time, energy, and money into making its own AI upscaling technology. And we'll see how good it is. Digital Foundry kind of did a thing on it already, and they say it is good. It has some flaws. It's not as good as DLSS, but considering the system isn't even out yet and where it's at, and it's going to be at launch, they're saying that it's looking really, really impressive. And so that's going to be like the biggest thing that's going to make the PS5 Pro look better. If it does look better to people in general, it's going to be the AI upscaling and, to a lesser degree, the ray tracing. Okay. So, all right.
Well, yeah. So to answer your question, that one, dude, maybe not for you, but may not be for a lot of people. I know it ain't for me, but it's definitely for Monster. So we'll see how that. We'll know more once the system actually comes out. Yeah,
that answers that question. The other part of the question is, why is the thing $700 to begin with?
Oh yeah.
So to speak on the price and why I think it's only partially justified, you got to know the industry a little bit more. Over the past 4 years-ish, the general price of electronics, especially in the computer sector, has gone up in price. I think about this like a mid-range GPU. We'll just use NVIDIA as an example. A 1070 GPU came out in 2016. The 1070 was $330. The 4070 in 2024 is $550, and it was $600 at one point. And NVIDIA's top GPU, at the time in 2016, was $600, and now that's $1,600. So prices have gone up quite a bit in the computer PC sector, and I thought it was crazy then. It's a little bit crazy now still, but it's not surprising to me. So why is it so expensive? There's several factors going into this, but from just the chip standpoint, there's this company called ASML. They make the units that every foundry in the world uses if they want to use EUV technology to make their processors. They're the only ones. They have a monopoly. And when you have a monopoly, the prices only go up. So everybody has to buy these machines that cost millions and millions of dollars for each one. And that's just the start of it. Then TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor, they are the leading company for making they're the leading foundry right now. They're the ones that actually make the processors. They take the ASML units, they make the processors, and they're the top one. And almost everybody goes to them. Apple does, AMD does, Intel does, and NVIDIA. So you have all these people. These are some of the biggest companies in the world all going to TSMC and telling them, we want you to make our chips. And when you have what is an effective monopoly on all those things, so that's really bad too. So now you got two basically monopolies in line to make the chips for your electronics in general, really. So it's tough when you have that kind of thing working against you. Not to mention that the cost for your SSD going up over the past year. The price of your RAM kind of remaining flat. Labor costs have only gone up. So you take all these things into account, and it to me, it's not surprising that the PS5 Pro is costing as much as it is to a certain degree. I think the price increase was inevitable given the state of the world and how these things are all working out. But I still think $700 for a unit that doesn't have a disk drive is overpriced.
Mm-hmm. Especially if I would feel better if it was $700 if they were to actually lower the price of the original system down $100.
But they've been raising the price in part because of the things I've said. Oh, and I
right, but I'm just saying, like it's an older system, so just say, hey, well, it's older, $400, you buy it.
But there's one other thing I forgot to mention in everything I just explained. Sony is a Japanese company. Nintendo's a Japanese company. The yen is extremely weak right now. And so as a consequence, everything they buy is more expensive for them. So on top of all these things I've just said, you have a weak Japanese yen that's also affecting how much they're paying for these supplies. And so you're seeing the price of the PlayStation go up worldwide, not in the United States because the strong dollar, but just in general, there's a lot of headwind from an economic standpoint working against us. I think it's culminating in the PS5 Pro. If it doesn't sell well, then hopefully it goes down in price. When Sony tried to pull off, the PS3 at $600, which is effectively still more expensive than the PS5 Pro, granted that had a disk drive, people pushed back and they had to lower their price. They just weren't selling. So we'll see. I don't know what else to say. That's really all I got on it.
All right. Well, thank you, that one dude, for your questions, and we are now coming up on the 45-minute mark of the podcast. So I told you it's gonna be a long one, so buckle up. We got news. We got some interesting news, and let's just chain it together. So we were talking about the PS5 Pro. We were talking about the disk drive and the pricing issue. Let's talk about another issue with Sony. And that is that they tried something and failed. They
certainly did.
Yeah, towards the beginning of this month, towards the beginning of September, they finally closed Concord. They closed it on the 6th.
2 whole weeks.
Now, it's interesting because the closing of Concord got more news press and news coverage than the game itself.
I would say news about how poorly it was doing got more news than the game itself.
Yeah, because like, well, I think I heard a blurb about, hey, Sony's doing a hero shooter, and I was like, okay, been there, done that. I'm done. I'm not interested. And then that was it.
I think the fact that it launched into a market that had tons of things in it already doing the same thing, and the fact that they were trying to get people to pay $40 for it, those two things kind of
that's the problem. Yeah.
If they launched it as a free-to-play game, as most of those games are, I think it would still be running right now. Whether it was making money or not is a totally separate conversation.
Right.
But I think it would be still running.
Free to play with cosmetic purchases, I think would have actually kept it going.
Yes.
But yeah, charging $40 for a game that most people didn't really know about and didn't care about, I don't know. Was it a risky endeavor? Yes. Did it pay off? No. Should they feel bad? Not really. But at the same time, as a consumer, it's, yeah, whatever.
Well, then the other thing about it is it supposedly cost $400 million to make that game, and
that's what sucks.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I you're not a very popular take, I think, but I think it was a bad idea for Sony to chase something like this?
No.
I don't think it was. The market is telling Sony that this is what players want, right? The top 5 of the top games last year are all games that are 5 years old or longer now. I mean, you have Fortnite still going strong, for instance. You have Apex Legends and things like that. I mean, these games, Valorant, League of Legends.
I mean, and it's just Call of Duty constantly.
Yeah, I mean,
like, obviously it's not a hero shooter in itself,
not a live service game, but either way,
it acts like it though with some of the stuff it does. But anyways, I don't think it was a bad decision for them to try this. I ultimately, and I've said this a million times before, when stuff like this happens, I feel bad for the developers. I feel bad for the studio because this reflects poorly on them, and it's not their fault.
I'm sure it feels really bad to put out a product that no one likes. You put all your blood, sweat, and tears, and all you want is for people to enjoy what you've created, and then this happens? I mean, I feel really bad for the developers. Really do.
And then it looks like, I also think of it from the perspective of like with Squeenix, unhappy with like Tomb Raider and the Montreal studio and all, because they weren't performing up to their standards. It's like, well, you don't think Sony's gonna be like that too? I feel bad for the studio. I really do.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I don't hate the decision to do it. Yeah, it takes money away from a lot of single player experiences, but when you have a possible pot of money sitting there that's as big as it is, I
have to try.
I can't blame them. I mean, at the end of the day, these other games are making money hand over fist, and it doesn't cost a whole lot to keep doing updates to the game. Once the game is out, it doesn't cost very much to keep it maintained, and you just bank the cash. And that's just the way it goes. But these games demand so much of your time and energy if you want to stay up to date. That's why there's only like a handful of these games. So you have to be excellent. And from what I understand, the gameplay itself wasn't bad. The character designs were kind of but The gameplay itself was supposed to be pretty good. I'll tell you what, that video that they showed off, if it was something that was a single player game that was sort of in the line of Guardians of the Galaxy, I think they would have gotten a really good reception on it.
Oh yeah, or just like, here's a simple, straightforward FPS game. That would have done well.
Yeah.
But the fact that it was a hero shooter is what made it, like, for me personally, that's what soured me on the whole thing. Like, oh, it's a hero shooter. Pff, whatever.
Yeah. That's what that was the general take. General take.
Yeah. Well, speaking of general takes, what's your general take on the Switch 2?
The Switch 2 and the leaks that have come out.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think, at least at this particular point in time, it's pretty positive. We'll see what ultimately comes of it.
It looks like a bigger screen, which is cool, but
8-inch screen versus 6.2.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be an OLED or not. Probably not for the first iteration.
I thought it was, but I could be wrong.
I don't. I mean, this is Nintendo we're talking about. They'll save that for later, if you ask me.
Well, right, and we don't know 100% anything. It's just, this is what, based off the current knowledge that we have, we can speculate all we want, but
and granted, the renders and everything that have been out there, there's no, like, how do I put it? Nothing's been verified yet, so take everything with a grain of salt.
And that's happened before too, where people are like, I think it was even the Switch 2. There's like, hey, here's the specs on the Switch 2, and then someone's like, no, that's completely made up. So,
but if rumors are to be believed, it's supposed to have roughly the same power as a PS4 in handheld mode and a PS4 Pro in docked mode. The docked mode has me sort of intrigued, only because I think, that kind of power increase, what are we doing for cooling on the system? Does the dock have a special thing that helps cool the Switch enough, or Switch 2 enough to get to that sort of target on?
Right.
We'll see. And if it does hit that target, that'd be pretty impressive. Not as powerful as a Xbox Series S, but it should be serviceable.
I think for me, like, especially the last several generations of Nintendo systems, I have not gotten them right away. I've always waited like a year or two, and I think it's gonna be the same case with the Switch 2. Even with what they're touting and saying, hey, this is the new way it's gonna look, bigger screen, possible like massive upgrades. This could be really cool. Yeah, I'll wait a year.
It's rumored to be $400 right now, and if it comes out at $400, I think that's a decent price. I'm not enamored with that price.
Well, again, it goes back to what you were talking about with the PS5 Pro and the chipsets and everything, and the prices of supplies. I could get it.
I could see it being $450 pretty easily at the same time.
Yeah.
So, we'll see what happens with it. I think if the rumors turn out to be true, it could be really good. But Nintendo has a track record of following up massive successes with complete duds. So, until we see something more concrete from Nintendo, I kind of have to take things with a grain of salt.
I will say it, though. I enjoyed my Wii U. I enjoyed it. I'm one of the few people. It's okay.
It was definitely good for Nintendo games if you had it, which are basically all on Switch now.
Yeah. That's kind of why I'm not too worried about it, but we'll see. We'll see. But speaking of things to see, it could be our last news story, because we're coming up on an hour here, or close to. The PlayStation State of Play happened today as of this recording.
Yes.
So we're going to date this recording, actually. But yeah, as of today, the State of Play happened, and some really cool stuff. So I got my list here. I got it from IGN, so we can just start from it and work our way down and go through the stuff that we're kind of excited about. Obviously, the first thing is the Ghost of Yotai. Looks, yeah.
I didn't play Tsushima yet, but I guess I should get around to it sooner rather than later now.
I gotta play more of it. I actually really liked it, and the only thing that was weird to me, and it's just a weird hang up for me, was the trying to go get the haiku spots. They required me to go butt naked into a sauna. It was just a little weird, but it's traditional Japanese, so yeah, that's what would happen. But yeah, I got to play that game some more, and the fact that there's a sequel already makes me very happy.
Well, supposedly the first one sold extremely well, so this is not surprising in the least bit.
Yeah. So further down the list, there are remasters galore on this State of Play. We're not going to go through all of them. We are going to go through some of them because there's some of my excitement. But the next one we have to talk about, we are both... Oh, we are ready. Monster Hunter Wilds is coming out in February of 2025.
Yep, and supposedly crossplay has been confirmed.
Dude, you know what that means? We have to finish Worlds.
We do. We get 2 monsters to kill. That's all.
Right. We only have 2 left, but we have to finish. So we're now on a timeline. We have a deadline.
We do. Yep.
All right. Next thing is coming out is there's already DLC for Astrobot coming out, and it's gonna be free.
Free DLC. I'll take it.
Yeah, and it's I think it adds more speedrun levels for online play, and 10 new bots to rescue. Some of them are based off of like Stellar Blade and Helldivers 2. I know for 2 of those. So we'll see what the other ones are. I gotta look more into this one, but the Midnight Walk, it might trigger that weird factor for me, so I'll have to take a look at that. Hell Is Us is a horror game that looks like it's got like some Souls-like capabilities. Again, not too sure about that. I'm interested in Pal World only because I want to see how long it'll last on Sony before Nintendo finally gets involved. Because I heard
sued them, yeah.
Yeah, but like the with this happening, it makes me wonder how much more it's going to impact the game. So we'll see. Again, gotta follow up more on Arcade Chronicles, another Soul game. It looks pretty, but we'll see. But here we go. Here's an exciting remaster. Hold on to your butt. The Lunar Remastered Collection is coming out next year.
It has been a long time since we did our top 10, but I am sure that Lunar made it into my top 10. So, yeah, I'm a sucker.
Yeah, no, it's one of those like, well, I already have the other ones. Yes. So yeah, I'm going to get this one too.
Yeah.
Just keep the collection going. I'm just going to keep the collection going.
Man.
I say that as I look at my Galleon punching doll.
I was about to say I have my Galleon punching doll all ready to go.
You have 2 of them though, don't you?
I do, don't I? Yeah. I have one that I never took out of the box, and then one that I use.
I have one that I took out of the box for like 2 seconds, and then immediately put him back, and he has not left that case. So, next thing, this actually is coming out today. It's out today. Shredder's Revenge got another DLC, and this one's also free DLC. Radical Reptiles. They are releasing 2 new characters. It is Mona Lisa, who is from like the last season or so of the 80s cartoon, and Mondo Gecko, who's actually been a character for a while. So that's kind of cool. I mean, and I haven't played. I was talking with my brother about this one last night, and he's like, "Well, I've already got like all the other DLC. I've mastered all the characters. I've done pretty much everything. I don't know if I'm excited about this." Coming from my perspective, I've hardly touched the game in a while, so it's kind of exciting for me. So,
yeah, I mean, I plan to play it, so
yeah,
it'll be fun.
All right, the next remaster that we're excited about, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2.
Yes, gonna swallow some souls.
Yeah, awesome stuff. I mean, like, would I be happy if they also put Blood Omen on there? Yes. Give me a remastered Blood Omen, and let me make this clear. I want a remastered Blood Omen, not a remade Blood Omen.
You just want to suck people's blood from across the screen. That's all you
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But I just amplify the graphics and the screen ratio. That's all I need you to do.
Okay.
All right.
You could
Next
suck
one.
blood from in 16:9, so further away, right? Yeah.
Exactly. That's the whole point. Next one. I'm actually I'm excited. Fantasia Neo Dimension is arriving on December 5th. It's a tactics game from the creators of Final Fantasy.
Yep, it will be at least worth looking into.
No, I'm going to own it. It's not even an argument. It's not even a question. I'm owning it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'd just say it's at least worth looking into.
Yeah. So, next one. Let's see. So minor announcements, like I find them minor, so not really too much to talk about on those. But Towers of Agazba is getting early access. That's the game that you like rebuild the planet kind of game, but it's like got Souls-like combat in it. So
okay.
And then honestly, the last thing that I'm excited about, Dynasty Warriors Origins is coming in January.
I was wondering.
Now, if I remember correctly, someone told me that the Create-an Officer is coming back.
I don't know if it's coming back or not.
It's been speculated. If it does, I will be reliving my glory days inside Dynasty Warriors once again. It looks cool, too. I mean, like, it's just looking at the video, like, yeah, it looks awesome.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've played Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah, did you play the last one? Did you did you play, was it 8? Did you play 8?
No, I haven't played one since the PS3 360 era.
Utter nonsense. There was, depending on what weapon type you picked for a certain character, because you had like 3 different types you could choose. One of them was like, the guy had a sword, but if you did a move, a certain combo, he would then jump on his sword and surf with it across the battlefield.
So what you're saying is they tried to say, let's make Devil May Cry, but Dynasty Warriors instead.
Oh yeah, it was completely over the top nonsense.
Okay.
Yeah, which is why I'm glad they went back to Origins, because it looks like it's going to be a little bit more gritty, more realistic, and that's awesome. So, looking forward to that. Anything else that you're excited about from the State of Play?
I don't know. We kind of covered all of it, really.
Yeah. I mean, I figure
I don't know. I mean, obviously the headline of the show is the PS5 colors, right? I mean, everybody's excited about the colors.
I will say this, the colors look cool. The colors do look cool.
So you see that? Don't buy a PS5 Pro. Just go buy another PS5 in this new color. That's worth it. That right there.
Now here's the thing. Here's the thing I'm wondering is
it the sarcasm?
No. I tuned out your sarcasm a long time ago. The Chroma Pearl. How? I unfortunately have a very dusty house. Even with dusting, I still have a very dusty house. So my PS5 is eggshell white at best. All right. Will the Chroma Pearl look better? I wonder.
Well, maybe it will, maybe it won't. Either way. Oh.
Either way. But was there anything about the State of Play that you, our listeners, were excited about? Let us know in the comments down below. Let us know about anything we've done today. Keep us in communication. We love these comments that you guys give us, and we love answering them and talking to you. If that wasn't obvious by the massive amount of information we gave you today. we love talking to you guys, and we love hearing from you. So please keep it up. And while you're at it, if you haven't already, like the video, please the algorithm with the subscribe button. Tell your friends, your family, all them people. Get them involved. More numbers for us means the algorithm likes us better and will send us out to more people. And who knows what'll happen from there, right?
Who knows?
Who knows? But I do know one thing. We're going to end this video before it hits an hour 10. I promise you. So with that, thank you so much for everything, folks. We love you guys. We appreciate every single one of you.
We certainly do.
Have yourselves a fantastic week. Have an awesome time playing your games. And we will see you in the next one.
Take care.
Later.